What's up, guys? Flat Earth asshole back again for round 2 versus Joe Rogan and this piece of shit right here, Mick West. Now, when we left off of part 1, Mick was just telling us how his daddy was in the Flat Earth Society. Tell us more about your dad being in the Flat Earth Society.
Yeah, so when I first heard about the Flat Earth, obviously I've heard it before. My father, going back, when I was young, he told me that he was a member of the Flat Earth Society.
Your father told you that?
Yeah.
Was he joking around?
Kind of, but what he was doing it in a kind of satirical way, ironically. He was doing it because he was saying people are too sure of themselves, and so I'm going to join the Flat Earth Society. He didn't believe the Earth was round.
So it's been around for quite a while, the Flat Earth Society.
The Flat Earth theory has been around, obviously, thousands of years ago people thought the Earth was round, and then slightly fewer thousand years ago people figured out that it wasn't. It was figured out by the ancient Greeks, 3,000 years ago, that it wasn't. And by the...
that it wasn't round?
That it wasn't flat, sorry.
Oh, you fucked it up. You gave up the goose. You said thousands of years ago that people thought the Earth was round and they realized it wasn't.
Yeah.
You just, right now, you gave them fuel.
That's a quote that's going to go on YouTube.
Fucked up.
I am a shill quote.
Yep.
From the last one.
Yep.
Strike that one.
A slight misquote.
Alright, don't you just love those Freudian slips? Oops, I didn't mean to say that. Yeah, sure you didn't. Now, Mick West says that his daddy was in the Flat Earth Society. And the old Flat Earth Society, they always bring up Flat Earth Society. That's always the biggest red flag, is when someone brings up Flat Earth Society, because we all know Flat Earth Society is a controlled, government-run website to make Flat Earth look ridiculous. Now, I know not everybody knows that, but you should by now. We mention it in all the videos that are relevant. Any video that's relevant and has caught traction, usually at some point, the Flat Earther who made the video says, don't trust the Flat Earth Society because the Flat Earth Society is full of shit. So the fact that people who make content that is anti-Flat Earth and they still bring up the Flat Earth Society, by now, haven't you guys got it? There are no members of the Flat Earth Society. None of us vouch for the Flat Earth Society. All of us say it's a controlled government-run organization, COINTELPRO of the real Flat Earth, and you guys still use it and talk about it and bring it up. Well, the Flat Earth Society, there are no members. It's fake. I don't know one real person that's like, I'm a member. And don't bring up that stupid clip of Schmitty, the fake Flat Earther. Hello, I'm Schmitty from the Flat Earth Society, and I'm here to tell you that gravity is not a thing.
I am sick of all you round earth believers saying that the earth is not flat. I'm Schmitty, part of the Flat Earth Society, and I'm going to tell you why the earth is flat.
Yeah, Schmitty is not one of us. It's a made-up character, just like the Flat Earth Society is a made-up website. None of us go there for any research because we all know it's bunk. Flat Earth Society is bunk, and when you bring it up, that means your argument is bunk. That means you're also controlled. Or you're a complete retard who's done no research but then going to devote an entire 2-hour podcast to the subject. Chances are it's because you're a controlled bitch, so you're going to talk about the controlled bitch website. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. So what happened was science basically figured out the shape of the universe, and in the 1800s there was gentlemen scientists doing all kinds of cool things with stars, like measuring the orbits and checking out how far away things were and discovering that there were galaxies and things like that. There was all this science going on. But then there was this kind of, this guy comes along called Samuel Rowbotham, who published under the name of Parallax in about 1860. And he started publishing what is basically the same as Eric Dubay's book that has been published now. Pretty much every single thing that is in Eric Dubay's current book, you will find in Samuel Rowbotham's book from 1860. And in fact, if you read Dubay's book, which I don't recommend, you will see that about 80% of the text of Eric Dubay's book is actually quotes from these books from the 1800s. It's not actually this new stuff that he's discovered. It's all stuff like, if somebody walks away from you, you will see their feet disappear first. And then he has a 2-page quote of Samuel Rowbotham saying the exact same thing from the 1860s. So it's basically recycling this theory that started in the 1860s and then just adding a few little sprinkles to it, like saying that astronauts must be fake and the space station is fake.
They think that satellites are fake as well.
Yeah.
But Dubay, he's hilarious. He thinks that dinosaurs are fake, nuclear bombs are fake. I mean, there's the idea that one person would be this mastermind that discovers all these monumental frauds.
Yeah, and I don't think he's claiming to have discovered these things. There's lots of people who think that nukes are fake, and that dinosaurs being fake is an obvious thing for creationists and people of that ilk. But he's basically recycling theories in a way that is popular to the reader and figuring out how to get them across to people. So he does these YouTube videos that are very engaging. And they sound good. Then they sound, if you don't know what's what, they sound like they make sense.
That's the problem.
And some of them are quite technical. Like, at least they use a lot of technical terms.
Right.
But they delve into things like there's a variety of experiments. The Michelson-Morley experiment that Eddie mentioned is one of them that keeps cropping.
So, as you can see, they like to keep mentioning Dubay and how he took Samuel Rowbotham's work and put it into his book. Now, this is not the only guy out there waking people up to the flat earth truth. Believe it or not, there's a whole lot of flat earth content creators, like yours truly, Flat Earth Asshole, and we actually go out and find our own proofs through our own life and our own experience. We don't just rely on one guy and one book. So this whole notion that this one guy, Eric Dubay, tricked the whole world into falling for this, no, that's not how it works. In fact, many of us are going out with our P900s and doing our own experiments and coming up with our own conclusions and our own numbers, such as Jenniferado. In case you missed part 1, Jenniferado did her own experiment and saw Toronto from 30 miles away from New York across Lake Ontario. Now, one building in particular, the Rogers Center, only 282 feet tall, and from her observer height, right at the water line, her observer height at only about 6 feet tall, to see the Rogers Center from 30 miles away is a physical impossibility. Now, this guy runs the MetaBunk website, which knocks down the curvature number when you add in the observer height. Jenniferado uses Mick West's website, MetaBunk, types in her information, observer height, the whole shebang, right? The distance across the water, and she beats his website and comes up with still seeing the entire building, the entire Rogers Center she catches with her P900 when it should be covered up by curvature, even according to MetaBunk. So, in case you missed it the first time, I'm going to go ahead and prove to you right now that even with Mr. MetaBunk's website, you can go out and do your own experiments like Jenniferado, and find out that the earth is flat without the assistance of Samuel Rowbotham, without the assistance of Eric Dubay. All you need is a P900 and a place to go look at something far enough away. That's all you got to do. Anyone can figure out that the earth is flat. So let's not try to pin this on one guy or two guys tricking the whole world, okay? Now, as you can see, Jenniferado went to Mick West's website called MetaBunk. She typed in her distance in miles, which was 30.84 miles. Her viewer height in feet was only 6 feet, as she was standing right next to the water's edge. Now, according to Mick West's website MetaBunk, the amount of curvature that should be hidden is 516 feet. He also has refraction accounted for, which would be 435 feet hidden. And as you can see, this is Mick West of metabunk.org. So, Jenniferado used your website, Mick, So no excuses, buddy. So let's go ahead and check out her experiment. As you can see, that is Toronto skyline across Lake Ontario. The white building you can see is the Rogers Centre. Now we can see the entire building, and when you zoom out, it's like it vanishes, right? And here's Jenna's feet right next to the water line, so you can see she is indeed only at 6 feet observer height. Now she's zooming back in on the Rogers Centre, which is about 31 miles away. The Rogers Centre is only 282 feet tall. And we can see basically the entire building from top to bottom. And according to Mick West's website Metabunk, the amount of feet hidden by curvature, even with refraction accounted for, should be 435 feet. And we're looking at a building that's 282 feet tall from top to bottom. This isn't a mirage. This isn't refraction. We beat your website, Mick. So this isn't something we found in a book. This is something that is repeatable, it's observable, and it's verifiable. That's what real scientific experiments are. You can verify the results yourself, you can observe the experiment, and you can repeat the experiment yourself and get this exact same result as any real scientific experiment. For this reason, Jenna Fredo is a scientist, a real scientist.
About 5 years, and the flat Earth stuff came up maybe 2 years ago. I started to see things about flat Earth, and a bit over a year ago, I wrote a post on what should we do about debunking the flat Earth, and basically said like all these people are basically either trolling or they're crazy. So there's no point addressing either of them, and I think most of them are just trolling because no one could seriously believe this. You'd have to be like,
I don't think you're right.
I know. I've come to realise that I'm not. I was wrong. And that post now, it's gone down the line, but it's I've almost done a 180 from that.
It's stunning. It really is stunning.
Yeah.
And it's stunning how many people, like, this is why Jamie made these, youngjamie.com. You can go and get these flat earth shill shirts that somehow or another we're being paid to say that the earth is round. Like, the idea that anybody would actually believe that,
He's like, can you believe that anyone would think that we're being paid to say that the earth is round? Oh, by the way, you can get my Round Earth Shill t-shirt at burpaderp.com. Yeah, you're going to sell a Round Earth Shill t-shirt and then be surprised when people think that you're getting paid? Dude, we already knew you were getting paid when you flipped on the moon landing stance with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Word for word. There's no way we went to the moon. Neil deGrasse Tyson is in front of him. There's no way we didn't go to the moon. Word for word, dude flips the instant Neil deGrasse is in front of him, admits he's wearing a Round Earth Shill t-shirt and that you can buy them, right? You can buy this shirt. It's for sale. And then he's like, I can't believe people think I'm being paid. Jeez.
I've had so many people tweet at me, I know where your checks are coming from, bro. You're a fucking sellout. I'm a sellout. Like, why would I do... You don't think that if I really thought the earth was flat, like if someone thought the earth was flat, what a revelation that would be. What an amazing discovery. Every scientist would be clamoring to expose this. Every single scientist. The idea that all these scientists who make their name off discoveries, by the way, especially a monumental and provable discovery like the world being flat, like somehow or another they would hide that. And then the big question is, why would the government say the world is flat? I mean, why would they, in any way, why would they rather hide the fact the world is flat? Like, what motivation would anybody have to show that the world was round? It would be pretty fascinating.
Oh boy, the old motive. Why would they say that the earth is round if it's actually flat? Yeah, everyone wants to know the big why. But they aren't willing to do any real research to get to that conclusion themselves. I see this all the time. People show up to my page. Why would anyone ever lie about... Watch one fucking video! that counts, that matters. Then come back and ask me why.
Why would they lie to us? Simply put, they lie to us to make us believe in what is not, so we never actually know what is. There might be more land out there that they're hiding from us. Why would they want to hide more? They stole your money to show you CGI and cartoon pictures of the globe. $18.4 billion annually. That might be another reason to lie.
Oh no, this guy must be a creationist. Yeah, I wasn't. I was an atheist, total atheist, and I loved space. And then I found out all those NASA images were fake, and a lot of their films were fake. A lot of the things they show us were fake. They're just using Hollywood trickery. Once I figured out that that was fake, and then I figured out the horizon's flat, and you can't measure any curvature. You can't find any scientific experiments to prove that there is curvature on the Earth. This guy said, well, scientists say this, and well, how come there aren't any scientists coming out and clamoring against it? It would be the greatest achievement to find out the Earth was flat. Yeah, scientists don't work for themselves. They don't work for the scientific foundation of good guys who always tell the truth. Scientists are paid by large corporations, companies, the government. Their data, yeah, the real data that they come up with, it goes through filters before it gets to the public. The scientist will say, yeah, here's what I found out. And then the government who hired the scientist will go, whoa, we can't show that data to the public. Let's come up with some new data for the public. And the scientist says, okay, otherwise he won't be a scientist anymore if he goes against the grain. Scientists don't just go out and perform experiments for nobody or no reason. Oh, except for us flat earthers. Yeah, I went out, shot the ground with my BB gun, and proved that moon craters can't possibly all be round. It's called Moon Craters Debunked. I performed my own scientific experiment. It's observable, it's repeatable, and you can go out and do it yourself and come up with the exact same result. Jenniferado, who I showed you earlier, who with her P900 proved that there is no curvature, and at 30 miles away you can still see the Rogers Center with only 6 foot of observer height. She proved that there is no curvature. That's a scientific experiment. Show me the experiment where water sticks to a spinning ball in any laboratory. Show me an experiment where you can get any sort of rock or anything huge on the earth to have some sort of gravitational pull. Like, show me a huge stone on the earth, like the biggest rock that's on the earth. Doesn't it at least track like lint to it? Maybe at least attract little sand particles? Where's the gravitational pull? Oh, we can't do any of those things in a laboratory, can we? So we just have to take NASA's word for it. And these scientists, who no one can ever name, they just lump them all together. Scientists? Well, all the scientists in the world would have to be in on it for that to be true. No, there are scientists who study lots of things and do experiments on lots of things that have nothing to do with the curvature of the earth or the earth spinning. There are scientists who are studying barrels of wine because they're hired by a huge wine company and they have to make sure that the wine meets a certain standard, and they're running scientific studies on wine. There are scientists who study, the water and the plant life and the marine life and the water, but they aren't studying the curvature. So whenever we say scientists, well, all the scientists, scientists all work in different fields, specialized different fields. A rocket scientist might build the rocket, but he doesn't get in it and fucking go to space. All right? A scientist who studies marine biology doesn't know shit about the water not curving if they've never looked into it. I can see I'm going to have to do a part 3 and a part 4 and a part 5 to get through the majority of this podcast. But the amount of bullshit coming out of these guys' mouth, I hear it on a daily basis, and they're just regurgitating the same things. You don't have to have all the scientists in the world in on it. There's very, very select few scientists who might even study this. And can you name them? You can't.
If we lived on this flat disk and everybody else throughout the universe was on a planet, we'd be like, whoa, what's going on? And there's a weird thing that's going on with some of these flat earth people where they're linking this to a sign that we are in some way special, that we are the chosen ones, and that we, and it keeps going back to Genesis, and that that we are the children of God, and that creation is true.
Exactly. I was a huge diehard atheist. I used to argue against creationists, called them stupid. And then when I found out that there's no curvature and that the earth isn't spinning, I had to rethink my stance. Big Bang creates a flat, motionless earth? That's not possible. Big Bang was bunk. So when I had that revelation, I had to go back on everything I ever thought and say, you know what? This earth, if it's flat and motionless, well, man, it had to be created by something, because the Big Bang just went straight out the window. And all of science, they must be infiltrated by evil forces, because why are they all going along with something that nobody can prove at all, when any one of us can prove that the earth doesn't have curvature? Any one of us can prove that it's not moving. Your senses, the ones you're born with, like, hey, I can't feel it spinning. It's because it's not. Once you figure out the senses you were created with are more accurate than the lies you've been told your whole life, well, it brings you to the revelation that you were created, you are special, the earth is created, the earth is special. There aren't a bunch of other worlds out there to go visit. We aren't in an infinite space vacuum, so therefore we aren't minuscule little specks of nothingness.
And that evolution is a lie, and it gets to some weird anti-Jew stuff with a lot of these guys.
Yeah. Well, a lot of conspiracy theories basically boil down to some kind of suspicion of other people, and quite often suspicion of Jewish people.
Why Jewish people? Why? It's always the Jews, man.
It's just
people can't catch a break.
I don't know exactly why. I think perhaps because of the whole the Jews killed Jesus, so Christians don't like the Jews, or some Christians don't like the Jews.
Yeah.
So they just being viewed as being an other. And they're often, the Jewish, the broader Jewish population is often like a minority within cities, and so it's kind of an easy person to pick on when things go wrong. But I'm sure there's loads of books written on why Jews are the subject of conspiracy theories.
Doesn't Dubay have a recent video about Jews and about Hitler? They all go down that road.
Yeah.
Whoa! They all go down that road.
If anything.
Whoa. I got a problem with that. This has been the elephant in the room. Been kind of waiting for someone to drop this bomb on the flat earth movement that all flat earthers love Hitler. All flat earthers are Nazis. This might have been their plan all along. Here this guy says they all eventually go that way. He generalized all flat earthers as being into Hitler and not liking Jews. Alright, so here we go with this part of the conspiracy. Now, I know it's highly popular to accuse the Jews of a lot of conspiracies. Now, where I personally come from, I've heard so many things of who it is and who's controlling us that I don't know any other way to describe it other than just crazy, rich elite people that control us. I don't call them Jews. I don't call them Jesuits. I just say that they're crazy, wacko, elite people that control us. Now, there's a huge part of the Flat Earth movement that doesn't like Jews and thinks that the Jews are the ones in control of the world. And then there's another huge sector that thinks that that's a conspiracy, that it's actually the Jesuits. And that it's a conspiracy to say it's the Jews and that they're a scapegoat when it's actually the Jesuits. And so, like I said, I personally have heard, it's Masons, it's, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And, like, for instance, I don't know, is the Rockefeller family, are they Jews or are they Jesuits? I don't know. I've never met them. I can't get inside their brain and figure out exactly what they are. So for that reason, I stand back and just say they're crazy, fucked up lunatics who are elite and they have lots of money. Their family has controlled the world for generations and they still do. Whether or not they're a Jew or a Jesuit or a Buddhist or a Christian, I have no idea. So I personally don't label them as such. But what I see here is a controlled effort to try to label the entire flat earth community as being Jew haters and Hitler lovers. And funny enough, there was a guy, I don't know, some of you have heard of him. His name is Matt Boylan, aka Matt Powerland. And he said a couple of years ago, like in 2015, that they were going to use Eric Dubay to label us all as Jew haters and Hitler lovers. In his own words, they were going to smear the flat earth movement with Hitler's jizz. Now, whatever your stance is on Hitler and the Holocaust, it's a polarizing issue. So the public in general, if they see a group called a Nazi and being associated with Nazis, they're going to not like it, they're going to hate it, they're going to think it's crazy, they're going to be drawn away from it. And so, one guy, Matt Powerland, who no one ever addresses, they never bring him up, ever, he was the one who said they were going to use Eric Dubay to fuse anti-Semitism with the flat earth and make us all look crazy. And none of them ever bring up Matt Boylan or Matt Powerland ever. No one does ever. He's called a shill by the most flat earthers. Yet none of them ever bring him up. They never want to address him. I find that peculiar. Now, I came into the flat earth movement liking both guys, Dubay and Powerland. And they're on exact opposite ends of the spectrum. So, for Joe to say all of us go towards the anti-Jew thing is bullshit. because there's a guy on the opposite spectrum as Dubay and has been calling out Dubay since the beginning, but they don't want to bring him up.
Exactly. And it's and that guy, I mean, waiting in line to get to the front of the line and ask me a question and tell me that, you know, he has the evidence and I need to see it. It's that kind of thinking. It's once someone commits to an idea, it's very difficult to shake them off of it, and they just look for confirmation bias. They just look for someone else to agree with them. They find communities. They find these flat Earth communities, which is hilarious. One of the best fucking unintentional, hilarious things I read online. This dude wrote, the Flat Earth Society has members all around the globe.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Did he even realise what he was saying?
Of course not.
Or is that just him
Fucking
trolling?
around.
Yeah, it was unintentional. This dude. Yeah, how do you know what his intentions were? The Flat Earth Society has members all around the globe. Oh man, that's so funny! Yeah, the Flat Earth Society is a controlled group, so they come up with stupid controlled quotes like that, which your stupid controlled bitch ass then regurgitates. This one guy, unintentionally, who I don't know his name or anything about, but I definitely know all about his intentions. She said that the Flat Earth Society has members all around the globe. Hilarious! Oh my god! And you know what his intentions were. That's fantastic. Yeah, I see people reposting that online all the time. Hey, Flat Earth Society members all around the globe. Yeah, only retards post anything with Flat Earth Society in it. Once again, there are no real members. It's not a real organization. It's a government-run, controlled organization. You can't find anybody in the movement actually supporting them and saying that they're a member of that society. So, anytime they bring it up, it's just more reconfirmation that these guys are also controlled bitches as well. Because they've brought up controlled opposition more than once now. Flat Earth Society brought it up twice now. Alright, Mick says his dad was a member, and then Joe brought it up. So both guys bring it up at different times. Both guys bringing up controlled opposition. And then they want to mention Dubay over and over and over and over as if he's the only one in this movement. His word is the only one that matters. He might be the most popular, but that doesn't mean his word is all of ours. His opinion is all of ours. And that's what makes me wonder if this whole thing is a big setup. Now, I know I'm going to catch some backlash by saying, yeah, maybe Dubay's in on it with these guys, and he might show up on this show and tell us all about his 200 proofs, and then hail Hitler! And how's that going to make us all look, right? Some flat earthers don't mind being called a Nazi. They think it's amazing. I personally don't want to be called a Nazi. And so I kind of worry that this whole situation is controlled and it's going to lead to flat earthers being Nazis. Alright? So I got to go ahead and be the guy that calls it out and says, hey, I don't want to be called a Nazi, even though I don't think Hitler killed 6 million Jews. I think that number's blown way out of proportion. I don't think he's the most diabolical evil man who ever lived. I don't. Do I think he was a wonderful man and I love him? Hell no. Do I think he killed 0 people? No. So, let me make my stance perfectly clear. I'm not a Holocaust denier, but I don't think 6 million people were killed. I think the number's significantly less. What number? I don't know. I can't run any fucking experiments to prove how many he killed and how good of a guy he was. That's why I don't stick it with the flat earth! That's why most of us don't. We don't go, hey, look, that ship, it's disappearing on the horizon. And then when you bring your telescope out, you can bring it back into view. Oh, and did you know that Hitler's amazing? You notice how those things don't go together? Yeah, that's why I don't ever preach that. So I can't be lumped as a fucking Nazi by the media over a polarizing character such as Hitler. Just mentioning his name in the video is bad enough, right?
Runs wild. It was very confusing to me doing that television show, and it really changed me a lot. And it It changed me to the point that people started accusing me of being co-opted by the government. That the government threatened my family and told me to stop talking about conspiracies. Like, and then the idea that I wouldn't say that if that was the case. Like, you don't think I'd fucking tell everybody if someone threatened my family because I was talking about UFOs? I'd be telling everybody. I'd be like, hey man. I would tell all my friends. I'd be like, dude, they fucking threatened me because I was talking about UFOs. This shit is real. Hangar 18, Area 51.
About UFOs. You can co-opt the person and say, hey, you want to know UFOs? We'll show you the real deal. But not only can you never talk about it publicly, you have to be a debunker publicly.
I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother. Thank you very much for your time. That was very fascinating. Really interesting conversation.
There was a paper a while ago published on like how many people it would take to cover up certain conspiracy theories, and the probability of none of those people ever talking.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. Like, you can't have tens of millions of people in on a conspiracy. And
Well, the flat Earth one is the best one for that.
yeah, I mean,
Because
that's
what about all those people?
Yes, this is very common by skeptics and then by people who are full of shit like Mick and Joe. They say, how could all these millions and millions of people all be in on the conspiracy? Somebody would have had to come forward and talk. Well, people do come forward and talk. Chemtrails. There are some whistleblowers. Problem is, you get called out as crazy. All right, you get labeled as a wacko. Your friends and family can turn on you. And the cameras don't show up to your house. Like, the news doesn't just show up to your house to listen to you. You can go outside and blow the whistle and tell the world all the bad things going on. And even if you have credibility, if the news cameras don't show up and put you on the TV, nobody knows. So then you have to make your own YouTube video to let the world know. And then you have to get enough views and have it somehow get popular so people see it. So blowing the whistle isn't this easy thing. You can't just be like, hey everybody, I saw something. Whistle. I'm blowing my whistle, everybody, okay? And then everybody fucking knows. That's not how it works. And go outside right now, start spouting off about all the things going wrong in the world. But even my neighbors won't listen to me. They'll just be like, oh, that guy's crazy, right? They'll call the cops, say, there's a guy out there yelling that the earth is flat and that there are chemtrails in the sky. Can you please take this crazy lunatic away? So blowing the whistle isn't easy. You can lose your friends and your family and your job and your livelihood, all right? And gain fucking nothing out of it, all right? You'll open up people's minds and wake up people, hopefully. But other than that, being a whistleblower doesn't have a whole lot of opportunity. So for a guy like Joe Rogan, who used to think that we didn't go to the moon, and then suddenly he flips his stance, of course we all think you got bought off. You have a cushy job as a color commentator on the UFC. They don't have to threaten your family. They'll just straight up say, dude, you're going to be unemployed and nobody's going to hire you ever again. Your $1 million job will be gone. That's enough. That is threatening your family. Yeah, your cushy job goes bye-bye. That's threatening your family. Oh, don't you think I would go tell everybody? No, because then they would fucking take your job away. You know how easy it would be for some other dude to step right into Joe Rogan's place and be color commentator? We would forget all about him real fast. Hey, remember that dumb bald guy who used to do Fear Factor and used to do the UFC? Yeah, he's over at the local Indian casino performing stand-up comedy tonight. You want to go watch him? Yeah, me neither. That's Joe Rogan if he doesn't sell out. Local comedian at the Indian casino versus cushy job on TV with the UFC still. Doesn't take much to threaten someone's livelihood. All the dollar bills on the table going bye-bye, yeah, that's enough to get you to conform. So this whole notion that they threatened his life and his family, just threatened his dollar bills.
Science. Every single scientist.
Every single one.
Everyone who is involved in shipping routes,
Yep.
overseas flights, and the fact that you can fly west and land east I mean, you can.
Yeah.
You can just land in one spot, take off again, land in another spot. And
Yeah, you can fly and land in a spot on a flat Earth. You can take off and fly and land in a spot. And go from one airport to the next, to the next, to the next, and go in a big old circle. And you might think you flew around the world, but you just flew from airport to airport in straight lines, okay? So this whole concept that like, I flew around the world, so that means it's definitely a ball. No, you just flew around from airport to airport on a flat surface. Proves nothing. Again, come at us with the verified curvature measurement.
you can eventually get to the same spot that you're at with a bunch of different flights that you can track them on a GPS. I mean,
That's fake too, GPS.
oh, that's fake.
It's,
That's fake.
everything's fake. Yeah.
GPS isn't fake, it's actually a ground-based technology. You should just call it ground positioning system. Ground positioning system, which uses antennas. All those antennas and towers you see going up around you, all they gotta do is get you between those antennas, and with triangulation, it's pretty simple. They can pinpoint your exact location. So being that the technology for GPS exists here on the ground, it makes a lot more sense that when you want to perform routine maintenance, you just send a repair guy around to the towers, right? All the technology exists here on the ground. It makes a lot more sense that you can maintain this and perform maintenance on all these towers here on the ground using regular workers. They'll just drive their truck over there. They've got their tools. They work on it. They fix any problems that go wrong. Makes sense, right? Now, how would you work on a satellite in space? Are you telling me that the guy who knows how to fix the satellites is also an astronaut? So not only are you an astronaut, you also have to figure out how the satellites work. Then you have to get up there in a rocket ship successfully, jetpack over to the broken satellite or the one that needs repair. You jetpack over to it, right? Hope like hell you don't get hit by any space debris or anything while you're up there. And then you have tools and you work on the satellite while you're floating around in space, right? Fix the satellite, jetpack back to the shuttle or the rocket you came from, get back inside, and then come back here and touch back down on Earth. Yeah, does that sound like something they would do? Next, you're going to tell me, well, they don't have to send maintenance men to work on satellites because, well, satellites just don't ever break. They're built so well. Or no, when they break, we just leave them and launch up a new satellite. So there's no such thing as a satellite maintenance man. See how ridiculous that is? The technician is here on the ground, working on the towers here on the ground if there's any problem. That's where the technology for the ground positioning system is, on the ground.
Into this nonsense. They're looking into this thing that's not real. When the real space, like the actual, like what is observable about space is so mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And somehow or another, that is what you absolutely can see every day, what you absolutely can observe, what you absolutely can read about and learn about, and what scientists are discovering on a daily basis is so mind-blowing. When you see, like, they don't believe satellites are real. When you see how many satellites we actually have, that's what's really fucked. It's not that there's no satellites.
There's too many satellites.
There's way too many.
They're going to start bashing into each other, and then we'll have no more satellites.
There's thousands of them up there, and they have to time, like, space flights. They have to time space flights based on whether or not they're going to hit these satellites or space junk.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's too many. There's so many that, man, you have to do precise calculations so that you don't run into them and so they don't all set a chain reaction off and bounce off each other. Yeah, that's why every single minute of the ISS footage that you claim is real, we don't see not one single satellite go by. In fact, I dare you to find any NASA images where the spacemen are floating around, they're working on something, and there's satellites going by in the background. It doesn't exist. The ISS footage, which runs all the time, right? People say, oh, they're running a live feed right now from the ISS. Find where are the satellites? If there's so many, there's too many. He said there's too many. How come we never see them in any of the footage? You never see like, whoa, we had to dodge these satellites. Well, there goes one. Oh, and you can see a couple more going by out there. Never. Yeah, people think they see satellites, but they see a dot. I say, have you seen a box with wings, or did you see a dot in the sky? Well, it was a dot in the sky. Yeah, so you've never seen any of these satellites. He's like, man, there's so many of them that you've never seen. Yeah, I've seen a light go by in the sky. It didn't have the regular airplane lights. It just looked like a light going by in the sky. Is that a satellite? Is that a UFO? Who knows? But you can't say for sure that it's a box with wings from the ground, right? You think you can see a box with wings that's about the size of a bus from the ground? An airplane, which is a lot bigger than a bus, is a tiny speck when it gets up real high. From the ground, an airplane is a tiny speck. And people think that they're seeing a satellite, which is smaller than a Boeing 747 or a Boeing 777. A satellite would be like the size of a bus, and we're supposedly seeing satellites from the ground? Yeah, sure you are. Did you see a light in the sky, or did you see the actual box with wings? You saw a light in the sky.